Because of the overwhelming pressure from unknown forces beyond the universe, Yuziyu pushed himself even harder, forcing his body to level up as quickly as possible. There was no time to waste. His roots whipped wildly in the storm of spiritual energy, accelerating the process. Laurel stood amidst the roaring winds, watching in awe as his master underwent this transformation. To a young tree like him, his master's spiritual aura was becoming more and more terrifying. What he didn't realize was that, in the grand scheme of the vast universe, this power meant nothing. It couldn't even guarantee Yuziyu's survival. His boss was in a desperate rush to grow stronger. But Laurel, small and naive, only admired his master's greatness, marveling at how fast the level-up process was going. The roots lashed through the wind, carrying layers upon layers of spiritual energy. Then, something began to change. Their shapes shifted. Where they once tapered to fine, pointed ends, they now thickened and rounded, resembling snake heads. A mass of writhing, snake-headed roots twisted upward like a nest of giant serpents, their movements chaotic and deafening. A rumbling sound filled the air, a blend of hissing and dragon-like roars. The very fabric of space trembled under their presence. Then, one of them began to glow. A light shone from its eyes, and its mouth gleamed with the same eerie hue. It rapidly grew larger than the others. The root it was attached to swelled as well. This was Yuziyu's main root. Amidst the storm raging above and all around, this root threw its head back and let out a long, resounding cry. A declaration, a proclamation to the universe. I have been reborn. Its color was different from the rest. Atop its snake-like head, two massive horns sprouted. Two powerful forelimbs extended forward, serpent-like limbs, thick and sturdy. The transformation was beyond anything imaginable. Boom! Thunder cracked across the universe, striking the willow tree in an explosion of blinding light. For a moment, Yuziyu was completely obscured, swallowed by the glowing storm. Laurel stood frozen in shock, witnessing the impossible unfold before his very eyes. Was this heavenly tribulation lightning? His understanding of the universe had been flipped upside down today. Lightning didn't even need clouds to form. What other absurd things were possible? Then again, he himself was a tree growing on the moon, wasn't he? Heavenly tribulation only descended during a breakthrough, forcing the target to endure excruciating pain in exchange for something greater. The willow's vines thrashed wildly, screaming into the storm. They looked like a creature being electrocuted, convulsing in agony. His roots writhed on the ground, while the main root, now fully beast-like, roared furiously, its energy shaking everything around it. The column of lightning gradually faded, revealing the willow within. Yet the strikes continued, relentless and fierce. Yuziyu's face lay silent within the storm, enduring it without a single sound. Lightning continued to bombard him, striking different parts of the tree. His form was changing rapidly. Wherever the lightning touched, a thin layer of silver coated the bark, gradually erasing his original color. Through the howling winds, Laurel finally understood the purpose of the lightning. It wasn't just inflicting pain, it was breaking his master down and rebuilding him stronger. His perspective expanded once more. Even the beast-formed main root was being burned black by the lightning. It let out long, guttural cries, its voice no longer that of a tree, but of a beast. The storm of lightning continued to intensify. Soon, Yuziyu's form was completely engulfed. Only his agonized screams could be heard, echoing through the void. The ground beneath him, the very surface of the moon, was reduced to dust from the sheer force of his tribulation. It must have been excruciating. His path to ascension had always been paved with unimaginable pain. Then suddenly, the lightning ceased. Dust and smoke clouded the area, obscuring the aftermath of the trial. Laurel held his breath, waiting for the dust to settle. The moment he saw his master clearly again, he gasped. Is he pregnant? Did the willow tree have twins? He had no idea what to call this. Yuziyu's roots were now standing upright on the ground, supported by four massive limbs shaped like the legs of a horned beast. His silhouette resembled that of a beast, yet long whiskers, much like those of a dragon, dangled from his face. His torso was slender and serpentine, despite being formed from roots, flowing with an eerie, unnatural grace. Was that horn growing from his head? Well, it did look a bit deformed, completely different in color from the upper part of the willow tree. Yuziyu was already enormous under normal circumstances, but now, compared to Laurel Tree, it was even more terrifying. It looked like a newly planted tree standing right in front of its master, or rather, in front of whatever that thing was that its master had just created. Yuziyu tried opening his mouth, speaking from his lower part. The voice was deep and resonated all around. Oh, this one's gotten pretty big, huh? But what even is it? And that face of his has changed again. Down below, two long horns had sprouted, while another bright red horn stood out on its greenish face. No nose had grown, so did the heavens decide to compensate by giving it an extra horn? Yuziyu pulled out a mirror from somewhere and admired the red-tipped horn that still had a green base. Suddenly, he felt quite handsome. More importantly, his main root had transformed into an azure dragon. Beyond just resembling a dragon in form and aura, everything else far surpassed ordinary dragonkin. It did look a bit strange, but hey, the willow tree was already an oddity from the start. A little more weirdness wouldn't hurt. Satisfied, he checked his body and discovered a sphere of energy forming in his claws. The system informed him that this was a special ability, the holy energy sphere. Constantly gathering spiritual energy infused with life force, it carried immense destructive power against dark attributes and undead creatures. Though he hadn't tested it yet, Yuziyu estimated with his current strength that its destructive force could wipe out an entire human continent. Well, enduring that tribulation wasn't for nothing. At that moment, Laurel Tree finally snapped out of his daze and excitedly cried out, "Master, you've grown even stronger, much stronger than before. Have you reached rank 6? Yuziyu's dragon head tilted forward as if nearsighted. His deep voice rumbled, "No, still at the peak of supernatural rank 5, but the 9 great spaces are continuously expanding. In a short time, my combat strength will rise even further." "You've ranked up twice already and still haven't reached rank 6? Laurel Tree marveled. "Seems like it's not so easy to step into that level." The young tree saw it one way, but Yuziyu saw it another. "When I return to Earth, I must find that person and get some answers." The last words she spoke, do they have anything to do with what I'm experiencing now? As he gazed out into the vast cosmos, Yuziyu recalled the planet he had discovered earlier, one with its own ecosystem and life forms. That mysterious celestial body had remained a huge question mark in his mind. Once everything is in order, I'll go take a look. Checking Laurel Tree's information, Yuziyu saw her full name, Immortal Laurel Tree, Supernatural Rank 4. Inherent ability, Immortal Body. Rooted in places bathed in dense moonlight, she possessed an undying body, capable of regenerating immediately after being cut. With each regeneration, her body grew even tougher. Special abilities, Guiding Moonlight, able to manipulate a mysterious mixed energy, both defensive and offensive. Lunar Protection, removes most negative effects. Moonlit Reflection, uses moonlight to create a projection of herself. Yuziyu was surprised. He hadn't expected Laurel Tree to have an immortal body. Not being able to be slain was already a tremendous advantage, but adding to that, the fact that each wound only made her stronger. If I didn't exist, she might have taken my place as Earth's divine tree. Still, he had to keep recruiting more allies and reinforcing Earth's defenses. Experience had taught him that the stronger his forces, the lower his chances of perishing in large-scale battles. This time would be no different. If I use my void roots, I could open a passage from the moon to Earth. He gave it a try and found it quite feasible. This way, his forces could quickly move between the two places. Letting his newly created dragon step onto the moon's surface to explore, Yuziyu observed that the air was thin here. But with their current abilities, that shouldn't be a problem. With the dragon carrying him, the upper part of the tree swayed along with each step, making him look like some sort of royal palanquin, creating a vast space around them, like an independent sky for the moon. Yuziyu adjusted the atmosphere and gravity to help the beasts adapt once they moved in. That should make things a bit easier. It was all coming together nicely, except for one issue. As he extended his vines toward the floating rocks, he realized that while many creatures could breathe here, they might struggle with the gravity. He couldn't alter the moon's natural structure without affecting its balance with Earth, but he had to ensure that everyone could experience gravity similar to what they were used to on Earth. This kind of technical stuff is too much for me, Yuziyu muttered. Looking over the forest he had planted using his great tree descent, he figured the ecosystem was stable enough. As for the gravity issue, let Bull Demon figure it out. With everything ready, Yuziyu opened his 9 great spaces, summoning all his unique trees to join him on this cosmic sightseeing tour. The 9 great beasts were the first to arrive. Each let out a low growl, realizing that their boss was taking them on another trip again. Among them, Nine Tails was the calmest. Gazing at the vast galaxy filled with twinkling stars, she simply asked, "Where are we? Who's that stupid tiger screaming so loudly, flapping its wings like it's gone crazy, only to be pulled back by Yuziyu with a vine?" It kept yelling, "Everyone's going to die. Everyone's going to die." If the boss hadn't pulled it back, it would have been the one to die. "Can you not run out there like that, going straight to the moon?" Flash noticed the ground here was so strange, uneven all over. It raised its glowing claw, showing off. "This ground's so weird. Look at me cutting it here." Yuziyu had to jump over to stop it from making a mess. These damn reckless brats. How come none of them noticed their master just got some weird creature to ride? After quieting down the noisy bunch, Yuziyu called everyone over to calmly explain things in the right order. Where we are right now is the moon. The gravity and environment here are completely different from Earth. This time, I've only brought a few of you here. I have something I need you to handle. Sightseeing is secondary. Everyone has work to do. That night, in the misty Grand Mountain, it was a beautiful cloudy day, and you could see the moon from everywhere. But Misty Mountain was eerily quiet without the giant willow trees, looking unnaturally still. It was too quiet, and the little ones from Yuziyu's family, who were allowed to come out, popped their heads out of the portal. As soon as they recognized their familiar home, they screamed loudly. As for Ninetails, she was much calmer, only offering a slight smile. Today, she was only back because of a new task assigned by the boss, not even remembering how long it's been since she left their beloved Misty Mountain. The eldest sister quickly got to work. "Everyone, spread out. Let's get to the tasks at hand." From the moon, Yuziyu looked down at Earth, slowly rotating below. He whispered to the beasts around him, and also to himself. "The matter of Earth is for you to handle first. I still have things to do here. I need to figure out how to make the moon suitable for living creatures." Telling Yuziyu to green the barren land of the moon was a bit tricky, and of course, such a laborious method wouldn't work. But before that, he still had things to arrange, so he opened a fog spread space in front of him. Closing his eyes, when he opened them again, Yuziyu's spiritual sense had already penetrated into the fog spread space. Inside, a few fog spread creatures, molded in the shape of kangaroos, were bowing respectfully, serving their master's visit. These creatures had nothing to do, so Yuziyu didn't wait long before a large, powerful leg stomped down, stepping forward to greet him. This was the person he needed to meet today. Yule respectfully called Master, and his information board unfolded before him. Mutated human, superhuman rank 4. Inherent ability, magnetic control, capable of using magnetic force flexibly. Special ability, magnetic perception, able to sense the strength of creatures within thousands of miles through magnetic fields. Metal control, capable of easily manipulating the metals of an entire city, using it for attacks. Extreme speed, invisibility, capable of bending light around to achieve invisibility. Absolute force field, using the magnetic field to create an energy field strong enough to withstand nuclear weapon attacks. Yuziyu was very satisfied. He had chosen Yule from the beginning because he had recognized his potential. Not only did he have powerful attack methods, but also incredible high-speed movement abilities. Add the invisibility effect, and it was like the best and most powerful things were all in Yule. Looking at the mass of spiritual energy radiating fiercely from his body, Yuziyu quietly thought to himself, even if Xiaoling faced him, there would be no retreat. This time, when Yuziyu met Yule in the fog spread space, his attitude was much more mellow than before. Part of it was due to him becoming a subordinate and swearing loyalty. Yuziyu was a good boss, and today he had something to discuss. "Do you know why I recruited you?" Yuziyu asked, not giving Yule a chance to respond. He looked at him and answered himself. "Your ability is the magnetic field. You have the ability to control the magnetic field very powerfully. In our upcoming campaign, your abilities will definitely be needed. To put it bluntly, it's because you're strong, so I need a bit of your power to take advantage of." But Yuziyu couldn't wait until that time, so he spoke in a low voice, requesting, "I need you to use your magnetic force to create a wormhole to lead the army across the cosmos. But doing this would consume a huge amount of spiritual energy. But it's fine, with me here." The plan had been carefully thought out by Yuziyu, and he didn't hesitate to reveal it to Yule. The days ahead will no longer just be small battles on Earth. They will be grander, cosmic wars. On this grand scale, just do what I tell you. Yule has never known who the enemies out there are, so he listens to whatever Yuziyu says. "From now on, you should go to the thunder space." Yule responded with a simple yes, but Yuziyu didn't explain why he needed to go to another space. He didn't have a space specifically meant for those who used the magnetic force like Yule, so he could only find a way for Yule's magnetic power to grow strong enough to create a wormhole. Later, they could lead a mighty army and embark on a conquest through the cosmos. Yuziyu was in a hurry. His time was running out, and there were always forces watching him. He had to do everything he could while he still had the chance. In the deep sea, today the merfolk tribe and their allies were hesitantly greeting someone who wasn't exactly welcome. A muscular merman, someone with influence in the tribe, furrowed his brow, eyeing the newcomer with scrutiny. "Where have you been during this time?" he asked. "Ursha, Mermaid King's little sister." He was speaking to a mermaid who had swum up to him, keeping her distance with a cold, detached attitude. "When our kings were fighting against the army of the mutant tree, you were nowhere to be seen, yet you have now shamelessly returned after the battle has ended. There are only two places on this continent. One is the deep sea, where you could have been easily found if you were still there. The other is on land, under Yuziu's territory. If Mermaid King Shah came back in such good condition, she must have been living well, sleeping soundly, and bowing her head to the mutant tree. So there's no need to ask, his words were already sharp and full of bitterness. There was no need to hide anything, so she spoke directly. "I'm here as a representative of the Misty Mountain." Seeing the stunned expression on his face, Mermaid King Shah remained unyielding. "Join the Misty Mountain, big brother." Meanwhile, at the Misty Mountain, although the mutant tree wasn't present, things were still very busy. A figure entirely white, with a large, twisting tail, was the center of attention for several giant primates. Spirit Flower stood behind, making notes on a piece of paper and reading aloud. "Rank 3 strength and intelligence meet the standard." The Monkey King chimed in. "Approved." This made Spirit Flower excitedly shout, "Next!" The Monkey King only needed to stay cold and indifferent. Spirit Flower handled everything else. The two worked together smoothly, and in no time, they had almost finished inspecting the entire group of primates. Xiaolan and Langfeng's younger sister chatted idly. Since the Monkey King had been brought here from elsewhere to manage things, the two were naturally curious. "Hey Xiaolan, that leader is a gorilla, Rick?" Xiaolan wasn't sure either, but thought it was likely that he had evolved from a white gorilla. And who hasn't noticed his huge tail twisting around like that? Then she whispered to her friend, "How could a gorilla have a tail? That's something I don't get either." After the evaluation of the primate group, it was Qingzhao's turn to be disturbed. From a distance, a bright voice called out, making him turn around to look. Qingzhao didn't smile much, but when he saw the cheerful face of Spirit Flower and behind her, he couldn't help but grin. "Hey, these gorillas are all qualified warriors, sent here for me to train." While taking the new recruits to Qingzhao's place to hang out with him, she curiously looked at the things in front of her, which were all black, and asked in surprise, "Hey, what are you doing?" Qingzhao, when he's not fighting, is always busy building houses or constructing something. A professional architect, but what was in front of him was something Spirit Flower had never seen before. It looked like an entire village gathered on top of a tall mound of earth. The base was narrow, and there was a little bit of it left, while the upper part was wide, probably calculated carefully so that it wouldn't topple over. He proudly introduced it to Spirit Flower, saying this was a new kind of architecture. "After the master left, the spot where I stood had left a huge hole. I built a castle on it, a castle I had dreamed of since I was a child." Upon hearing this, Spirit Flower grinned, continuously praising him. "Wow, great job, Qingzhao. You're amazing." He scratched his head and laughed widely, enjoying the praise. "It's no big deal. I'll save a room for you." Spirit Flower, being a bit cheeky, asked for a big room so that the handsome panda brother could sleep with her at night. Her words hit like thunder, and even gorillas didn't get the privilege of having a big room. Qingzhao, the owner of the building, was kicked out of his own castle and had to give way to Wine Deity. But he didn't say anything. Spirit Flower, on the other hand, was carefree. After giving her instructions, she cheerfully ran off singing, leaving Qingzhao and the gorillas feeling downhearted. Just when Qingzhao was in a bad mood and didn't know who to vent it on, Wine Deity's chatter filled the air. "Wow, Qingzhao, you're amazing. Build me a room, a big room." The group around Qingzhao grew upset. "You're so tiny. Why do you need a big room? Who are you going to sleep with?" The more they thought about it, the angrier they got, and Qingzhao immediately jumped into a fight with him. "I'll beat you up." The noise grew louder, with the gorillas group not fighting but cheering loudly, and before long, it became a chaotic scene. Meanwhile, in the Misty Mountain, busy yet crazy, the boss's territory was more relaxed. Over in Africa, after conquering the vast continent, the inhabitants there worked tirelessly. The mutant elephants there subdued in Africa were transporting spirit ores of different elements to the moons. These spirit ores were buried deep under the moon's surface by Yuziu. From there, the moon's spiritual power became denser. Next, in a giant pit, a large amount of life essence was scattered. The light from it shone brightly across an area, looking like a magical lake that everyone wanted to jump into and immerse themselves in. Then, tree-world forest to cover a large area on the moon's surface. Before, Yuziyu thought it would be difficult to green the barren land by himself, but now, after spending a lot of time there, he had managed to make it fairly decent. At night, under the trees of the Tree World Forest, the view of the universe outside was truly beautiful. Now, the moon was showing an unimaginable side of itself. Instead of just a barren rocky planet, now half of it was covered in forest, a clear sign of life. Looking far out, Yuziyu found a hat that looked like a skilled farmer observing the land he had just cultivated. The workers there were the happiest. This sense of fulfillment was wonderful. However, having just one life essence pond probably wasn't enough. Taking advantage of a ready-made pit on the moon's surface, Yuziyu poured life essence into it. This time, there was no slow drop-by-drop blending with water like before. The life force space already had ponds made from the life essence. As long as he opened the portal and poured some out, Yuziyu could easily expand the area. Soon after, the life essence filled the space, and he stopped, satisfied. Now the spiritual pond was big enough for everyone to use, but something seemed to be missing. Turning into a black snake, Yuziyu slithered over to the laurel tree, calling the little one. It eagerly responded, "What's the matter, master?" He gave the order, using moonlight projection to call Qingxiao and the gorilla clan up here. Also, bull demon, lava dragon, ice dragon, and other mutated beasts. Looking at the half of the moon still pockmarked with large and small holes, Yuziyu knew he couldn't complete it by himself. He had his team of masons, builders, and skilled architects. This would be a place for them to fully showcase their talents. Meanwhile, while the capable ones were called to build a new homeland, there were some idle people at Misty Mountain. The loud roar of the white tiger was a sign of an imminent battle. In response, a bird with golden yellow feathers, fiery orange, and the brightest of colors also opened its mouth and screamed loudly. Screech, screech, boom. They rammed into each other like two wild bulls in the arena. No one really understood what was going on, but they were fighting. From the smoke that they had been thrown into, their wings shot up into the sky and spread out wide, clearing the dust, making a grand entrance. It was the phoenix that had appeared in the fiery battle in Australia, a fierce opponent that had survived that moment. Its opponent was also not one to fear death, its green eyes glaring through the smoke, flapping its wings with a display that looked incredibly ferocious. "Everyone will die!" White Tiger's signature roar rang out, fitting its fierce expression, only making the phoenix angrier. "This is so annoying. Stop saying that." It opened its mouth, creating a huge mass of spiritual energy, and spat it directly at White Tiger, telling it to shut up. Just one sentence, cursing the same kind. If it didn't knock it silent, it would keep talking. White Tiger nimbly leapt up, easily dodging the fiery column. After all, it was a battle-hardened winged tiger. If it had taken that hit, it would have been a roasted tiger. The phoenix's move exploded, burning an entire forest, torching all the trees beneath it, making White Tiger horrified. It awkwardly flapped its wings, trying to avoid, realizing it had messed with something dangerous. Not only was it outwardly hot-tempered, but the strange creature inside was also infuriated. It spat out a burst of fierce fire, its eyes bulging as it howled. "No matter what your goal is in provoking me, I won't spare you anymore. You've completely pissed me off." When the phoenix lost its temper, it looked like a threatening ball of fire. The flames from its body spread up to its wings and all over its body, making it seem so much smaller in front of White Tiger. It looked like it was about to enter nirvana, and in a fit of rage, the phoenix growled as a warning. "No matter what your goal in provoking me is, I won't let you off." It was hard to understand why the mutant tree would take in such an idiot like White Tiger. While roaring, it also cursed, feeling that this was not how a mighty creature like it should be treated, especially when it was being pushed to its limit by such nonsense. The question was, why the hell did White Tiger come to its territory and declare that everyone would die? Even though White Tiger had been spanked by its master, it couldn't just openly curse like this, could it? On the opposite side, the spiritual power was radiating intensely. White Tiger couldn't conjure up a giant flame like the phoenix did, so it had to rely on its spiritual energy to make up for it. But no matter how angry it was, it couldn't speak as smoothly as the fiery bird. The words "everyone will die" echoed with frustration, but the stupid tiger couldn't change them to anything else. It kept repeating, "Everyone will die, everyone will die," and it was getting more and more annoying. The more it growled, the more it realized that no one understood what it was fighting for. When it needed to show the majesty of a winged tiger, it could only say, "Everyone will die," which made the stupid tiger go insane. It held a ball of spiritual energy in its mouth and again repeated, "Everyone will die" 2 more times. That made 5 sentences, enough to make up for its lack of linguistic skills, and it was about to charge and spit the energy at the fiery bird to show it some manners. Just when it was preparing for a serious battle, Xiaolan suddenly jumped out from nowhere and punched it straight in the face, shouting, "Shut up!" This girl was even more hot-tempered than both White Tiger and the Phoenix, and she knocked the tiger's cheek into a swollen mess. Why is she being so rough? We usually get along so well. White Tiger was both frustrated and feeling a bit wronged, wanting to cry but not daring to, so it spread its wings and flew off a little, immediately stopping its roar, not daring to utter its signature line. Xiaolan, perched on the head of a snake-bodied bird with a single wing, stood in a commanding pose and mediated between the two. "Sorry, there's no ill will, it's just, he's too stupid." Ah, Xiaolan usually hung around with White Tiger, but the moment she got distracted, trouble followed. Her apology cooled the Phoenix down, and the fire on its body extinguished, but the frustration remained. "You came to find me, but if it's not to start a war, then why?" it asked. "Don't forget, when you were fighting the darkness, I helped you." Xiaolan agreed with what it said and added, I know about that, which is why I'm here for the same reason." White Tiger could only fly a little distance away, not daring to speak. It could only blame its limited language skills and the heavy responsibility of negotiating. If only it could call on a few others to play the fool with it, maybe then things would go better. Xiaolan crossed her arms seriously and said, "I'm here today to invite you to join the Misty Mountain." Her words were firm, no longer the shy girl she once was. With just one simple sentence, she hit the point so well that the Phoenix squinted its eyes seriously, but it didn't reply right away. 3 days later, a loud call echoed across the moon. "Master! Master!" It could only be Laurel Tree urgently calling Yuziyu. "Master! Master!" Xiaolan sent word. She managed to call the second strongest beast of the continent, the Phoenix Demon, to join us. What? The shocking news made Yuziyu scream. "Really? You're not joking, are you?" Not long after, the gorilla group, led by their king, was seen heading toward the moon. Behind them, the giant red-feathered bird proudly led them, all making their way to meet their master. The Phoenix's presence there clearly indicated its intention to submit, but it couldn't stop its critical gaze from sweeping over the others. Especially the spiritual energy emanating from the white-furred creature made it wary. Phoenix wondered to itself, is this some kind of ape? Though not entirely sure about its species, it was certain that the spiritual power hidden inside these creatures was extraordinary. While it had appeared before, the battlefield was so vast that it hadn't encountered everything. This time, Phoenix had the chance to evaluate everything. Its gaze swept over the King Kong warriors, and it noticed one with 2 pairs of horns, looking dark and deep, really cool. While it couldn't tell exactly what this second-in-command of the Misty Mountain was or its role, it did make a comment. The Misty Mountain truly is a gathering place for the strong. By nature, Phoenix was proud and aloof, so even though it was joining, it didn't ask why they were gathering here or where they were preparing to go. It wasn't until the space in front cracked open with a sharp sound and split wide, leading to another dimension, that it realized what was happening. Among the crowd, someone shouted excitedly, "The void is opening up." This made the Phoenix stare in disbelief. The void is opening up? A crack? It was no wonder Phoenix was so stunned. Even though it was an ancient beast, it had never been outside of the universe before. White Fur folded his arms with authority, but noticed his new friend was still confused, so he took the initiative to explain. "That's the entrance to the heavenly realm. The divine tree is waiting for us up ahead." So that was a gate. The Phoenix had heard that the Misty Mountain hadn't had a master for a long time, but it never expected them to use this method to travel. Its dark eyes narrowed with deep thought. No matter how much it had admired them, it felt it had underestimated them. Times had changed, and standing before the remarkable development of this power, Phoenix had realized it was the right choice to join their side. Now, Qingzhao raised a mound of earth high enough to be level with the massive primates. "All right, everyone, let's head out in order." The moon, which had been waiting for them, now looked incredibly different. It no longer resembled the barren, rocky landscape it used to be. Even though Yuziyu had created spirit ponds, it was clear from the outside that many areas of water now covered the surface, not far from the tree world forest. The willow tree standing before that water now looked tiny. It resembled the tree world forest growing on a coastline, missing only the crashing waves to complete the scene. Now that the moon had been transformed, it had all the elements, but it was only superficial. There was still much work to be done. Yuziyu gently stroked his chin with a vine in deep thought. After the ice in the frozen space melted, it had become a small ocean. His eyes were critical of the landscape, though. Aside from that, the trees were beginning to wither. Yuziyu could use the tree world forest to create another forest to replace the decaying one. But repeating this process wouldn't solve the problem. If it were a forest, it should live on its own. Right now, they had only managed to sustain it because he was there. Without the spiritual power to support them, the trees would have withered even faster. Suddenly, a surge of spiritual energy erupted, startling the boss, who nearly jumped up in surprise. The crackling sound echoed in the space, and the universe before them split open, revealing a strange new dimension. The team had now figured out how to open the pathway without Yuzuyu's constant oversight, occasionally scaring him like this. From the portal, Phoenix soared out first, eager to explore the space on the other side. It didn't hesitate, its age showing as it no longer felt shy. Boom, boom. The next steps were Bull Demon and the Guerrilla Warriors. This group was the quiet type, and even upon reaching the moon, they just observed quietly without much comment. Alongside them were the White Snake, Lava Dragon, and Qingzhao, the leader of the hauling and masonry team. As they advanced, his experienced eyes swept across the area, assessing the situation. Is this the moon? Taking a deep breath, Qingzhao realized that the conditions weren't much different from Earth. There was air to breathe. Aside from the mystical sky, the environment didn't really pose much of a challenge. Yuziyu explained, I've used the illusion seal to seal the entire moon. That's why the oxygen here can still be preserved. However, with your power, you can survive here for a few days without oxygen, right? He was confident his team could manage. Perhaps once the construction here was completed, he would remove the illusion seal and let the moon return to its original state. As the only feathered creature stepped forward, Yuziyu greeted it with satisfaction. You must be Phoenix Demon, the second strongest beast of the continent. Phoenix gently bowed its head in respect, its posture careful and respectful. With the backdrop of the cosmic night and millions of stars, its feathers shimmered even more brightly. I never expected you to join our side, Yuziyu said, sounding almost incredulous, but to Phoenix, it seemed strangely humble. In the battle against the darkness, Yuziyu had been the victor, dominating the entire planet and taking all the creatures as his trophies, and that was something he had no qualms about. In just a short time, you've changed again. It was actually commenting in its mind. This form was both divine and demonic. Although the willow tree's appearance hadn't changed much since the last time it had seen it during the battle with the darkness, the surge of spiritual energy emanating from him made the phoenix wary. Yuziyu checked its details immediately. Though he called it the Phoenix Demon, its real name was just Phoenix, a rank 4 transcendent. Its bloodline traced back to the original Phoenix, ancient and mysterious, a true king of all birds. Its inherent abilities included dark feathers, where each feather seemed alive, capable of splitting into millions, transforming into a rain of swords. Special abilities: sword feather, feathers similar to rainstorm. Every single one can easily tear through steel. Sinking darkness, its tail feathers could scatter darkness, swallowing all consciousness. Heaven's gaze, its eyes could peek into the future, a forbidden sight that must never be revealed. With such a terrifying set of abilities, even Yuziyu, despite encountering countless mystical creatures, couldn't help but be amazed. No wonder it was the king of all birds. Its powers were on par with the 9 tails. From now on, you shall stay in the dimension of darkness. That place suits you best, and I will entrust the flying beast to your command. This grand gesture instantly won the favor of the long-lived bird. It folded its large wings like 2 hands clasped in respect and bowed before him. From now on, I shall fight only for the divine tree. Its words were careful, its actions meticulous. Yuziyu couldn't help but smirk, barely containing his delight. Days passed, and the construction efforts on the moon's surface grew more apparent. A pool of spirit energy shimmered beneath the galaxy, glowing a mesmerizing blue. It was uncertain whether any creatures had tested the spiritual water yet, but without a doubt, the phoenix had left its mark there. Spreading its elegant wings, it soared above the water, plunging in with a look of pure bliss. Droplets streamed down its feathers, leaving a captivating sheen. Gazing at the starry sky, it felt satisfied. This essence of life was truly powerful. It not only healed wounds, but also strengthened one's abilities. The longer it stayed under the divine tree's command, the more it enjoyed the privileges. Even life on the moon wasn't so bad. There was nothing to complain about. Meanwhile, on the barren half of the moon, buildings of soil quickly sprouted, crafted by the architect Qingzhao. Despite having visited countless human cities, Qingzhao remained loyal to his signature style. Long, narrow houses with open-air windows. Observing the hard-working youth, the divine tree extended a branch and asked, "Qingjiao, how's the progress?" Crossing his arms, Qingjiao gestured for Yuziyu to take a look. "This is what I have so far. The moon's soil is different from Earth's, so it might take more time." Leading him on a tour, Qingjiao stopped at a massive stone slab resembling a giant's tombstone. It bore 3 carved words, "Divine Tree Construction." Bowing solemnly, he introduced it. "Though it takes time, I can make things like this whenever needed." "Nonsense." You stared at him, wondering since when Qingjiao had developed a sense of humor. Poor Qingjiao. After all his hard work, the divine tree merely furrowed its brow and ordered, "Tear down these useless things." As he turned to leave, he muttered, "Even trees feel embarrassed by this." Qingjiao's heart shattered into 1,000 pieces, but he dared not protest. His boss had absolutely no sense of humor. Returning to his willow tree, Yuziyu took out 2 orbs, one bright, the other dark, the elemental fruit of light and the elemental fruit of darkness. "Time to get to work again," he muttered. "So busy, jobless, but every day there's something to do." Such was the life of a ruler. The light fruit was slightly smaller than the dark fruit. The system had only labeled them, without specifying their effects or uses. But Yuziyu didn't need instructions. He had created these fruits himself. "These fruits were formed from my cultivation of light and darkness. They can significantly enhance one's talent, transforming it into elemental life force, just like the earth element fruit I gave to Qingjiao, or the ice element fruit to White Snake. Depending on the recipient's affinity, I must choose wisely," he muttered. He had already witnessed the fruit's incredible effects. There was no doubt they were powerful. Holding them in his hands, watching the swirling energy inside, Yuziyu pondered. The real question now is, who should receive them? After much thought, 2 names surfaced in his mind. Among the many candidates for the light and dark fruits, Yuziyu had to think long and hard before deciding who would receive them. Now that he was reaching beyond the stars, the chosen ones had to prove themselves worthy. First, let's talk about the dark fruit. He was torn between Lang Feng and Shadow Tiger, also known as Dark Tiger. Some had already guessed that Dark Tiger would receive the dark fruit, but no one would have expected the other candidate to be Lang Feng. He was somewhat of a low-key figure among the vast ranks of Misty Great Mountain. However, at present, any mystical beast in Misty Great Mountain that got sick or injured would go straight to Lang Feng. Though he healed a few, more often than not, they came just to tattle. "That one hit me." Lang Feng and his younger sister were exceptional at caring for young beasts. Generations of creatures raised by them included the giant python, the 2-headed wolf, and many others. These creatures had since become big names in Misty Great Mountain, while Lang Feng remained a mere caretaker, raising one beast after another. More importantly, the younger generation was very close to him and his sister. If Lang Feng were to receive the dark fruit, it would earn the admiration of many mystical beasts. On the other hand, Shadow Tiger had already proven itself to be a formidable warrior. If it got the dark fruit, it would no doubt become a terrifying force. Given its name, Shadow Tiger would surely be able to maximize the dark fruit's power. But then again, Lang Feng's contributions could not be overlooked. The more Yuziyu thought about it, the more his head ached. No matter who he chose, the other would feel resentment. Damn it, being a leader was hard. Being a good leader was even harder. Forget it. Too difficult? Then just skip it for now. Next, the light fruit. Who wouldn't want this one? Unlike the dark fruit, which required certain affinities, the light fruit was much simpler. It was, without a doubt, one of the most terrifying fruits. Looking over the candidates, Yuziyu realized there were even more contenders for this one than for the dark fruit. He couldn't just ignore this decision. Calling out to Laurel Tree, who was nearby, he said, "Help me with something." Excitedly, Laurel asked, "What is it, master?" Holding up the light fruit, he ordered the tree to spread the word to all mystical beasts in Misty Great Mountain. "In 3 months, we will hold a grand tournament. All mystical beasts below rank 4 can participate. The champion will receive the light fruit, while the runner-up will be granted a sacred cleansing ceremony by me personally." While instructing Laurel to memorize everything, Yuziyu suddenly darted closer, his face flushed, lowering a vine to whisper, "Remember, make sure to emphasize how powerful and terrifying the light elemental fruit is. We need everyone to participate. I'll be watching the battles myself." Before Laurel could even respond, he had already zipped back to his tree, pretending to be serious again. "Of course," he added, "humans may participate too. This is a good chance to recruit more people to our side." Laurel Tree obediently acknowledged, but then mentioned, "By the way, Little White has caused quite a commotion. It's been running around recruiting people, but instead it's just been fighting non-stop. This tournament should shift attention away from that foolish tiger running amok. Just from this brief discussion, it was clear that this tournament would be as grand as selecting a successor. Both master and servant knew it, but the real scale of the event only became apparent when Laurel used its moonlight projection to spread the news to Earth. The entire planet erupted in chaos. On the surface, everything seemed calm, but beneath that, the whole world buzzed with chatter over this incredible announcement. After all, the temptation of the light fruit was no joke, especially in an era where everyone sought to grow stronger each day. Did you hear? In 3 months, Misty Mountain is hosting a grand competition. A group of rats chattered excitedly. One clueless rat asked, "What's a competition? Can you eat it?" Immediately, another smacked it. "You idiot. It means everyone fights each other. The losers get taken away for experiments." Just hearing that sent chills down their spines. Lightning Rat, one of the 5 supreme rat kings and a rank 3 transcendent, overheard his underlings gossiping and decided to join in. If you win first place, then what? The entire group huddled around, eager for more details, their curiosity reaching its peak. Then you can obtain the elemental fruit. He spoke with great seriousness, making them all gasp in awe, until they realized they had no idea what that even meant. With wide, confused eyes, they asked, "Great King, what's an elemental fruit?" Lightning Rat had never seen one either. Suddenly put on the spot, he fumbled and guessed, "Maybe it's a kind of ball." The rats erupted in cheers. "Then we can finally play soccer, right?" Their naive leader nodded dumbly. "Yeah, probably." In an instant, the entire group broke out into a frenzy, throwing their tiny arms in the air. "All right, let's win this competition and bring back a ball for everyone to play." In the future, everyone would play soccer together. Lightning Rat was cheered on enthusiastically. "Great King, go for it! Great King, go for it! Bring the ball back for our clan." Meanwhile, on the other side, someone was sprawled across a pile of bamboo shoots, eating so much that they had gone from sitting to lying down, gasping for breath on top of the pile. Did anyone recognize him? It was Po, the rough and tough older brother of Wine Deity, once the fearless leader of the Iron Cavalry. Po had become a revered figure among the pandas. Not because of his strength, because every single one of them drooled with envy at his meals. "Boss is so lucky. He gets to eat fresh bamboo every day. I want to eat too." Suddenly, the door burst open and an Iron Cavalry warrior rushed in, yelling frantically, "Chief, bad news. Something happened." Po, who had been lounging lazily, shot up at the sound, sending spit flying everywhere. "Did someone steal your bamboo?" Why would an Iron Cavalry warrior be worried about bamboo? The super being stood frozen for a moment before muttering, "Why is that the only thing you care about?" Glancing down at the pile of bamboo beneath him, he finally understood, but shaking off the thought, he hurriedly reported, "Your little brother is here." He didn't dare mention how the younger brother had arrived looking deadly serious, as if ready for a fight. Just moments ago, the pandas had been grumbling about their cravings for bamboo, but upon hearing there was a guest, they immediately lined up in 2 straight rows, sitting tall and imposing, making Po, seated at the center, appear even more majestic. His throne was set high above the rest, supported by sturdy, aged bamboo. A large red cushion lined with gold trim added to his grandeur. Po, now exuding the demeanor of a true leader, sat cross-legged, waiting. Gone was the lazy panda, sprawled across bamboo shoots. Upon seeing his brother at the Iron Cavalry's stronghold for the first time, Wine Deity couldn't help but let out a loud, "Whoa, big bro, you look amazing." Po's heart swelled with pride. His face flushed, but with the light behind him, he forced his expression to remain dignified. That's the kind of reaction I was waiting for. If he was going to act the part, he had to do it right. From atop his high seat, Po spoke in a deep, authoritative voice. "Little brother, what brings you here?" Wine Deity planted his hands on his hips, a mischievous grin spreading across his face. "Ha ha! If I tell you, you might pee your pants." Seeing Po's blank stare, completely unaware of the big news, Wine Deity decided to get straight to the point. "The light fruit. You've heard of it, right? The grand competition this time is being held by the divine tree." He stretched out a hand, making a squeezing gesture to illustrate its size. "It's the prize for the first place winner, but only mystical beasts and humans below rank 4 can enter." Hearing this, Po finally took the matter seriously, but just as the conversation turned weighty, Wine Deity's face suddenly flushed red. He still looked serious, brow furrowed, but his cheeks burned bright. "This time, I've come here to borrow your strength. I want to win the light fruit and become stronger." His voice was filled with determination. Somehow, even the atmosphere played along, with wisps of mist swirling around him, adding to his dramatic flair. He didn't want to waste words. He wanted to get to the point and start preparing for the competition. Above him, the Iron Cavalry leader darkened his expression. The light fruit, huh? There was an unmistakable hint of calculation in his tone, making the nearby Iron Cavalry warrior nervous. Don't tell me the chief is going to compete with his own brother for it. Wine Deity anxiously awaited the next words. No matter how strong their brotherly bond was, he had already set his sights on the light fruit. He needed it to improve his power. Even if Po dragged him into a fight here and now, he would still have to go all out. He needed every ounce of strength to prepare for the competition's opponents. Everyone had different thoughts running through their heads, but none of them expected Po's next question. The light fruit, does it taste good? Both Wine Deity and the Iron Cavalry warrior nearly fell over in shock. The Iron Cavalry warrior blurted out in exasperation, "Boss, that's a divine treasure created by the divine tree. It's already spread across the world. Consuming it doesn't just allow one to break through from rank 3 to rank 4. More importantly, it lets you transform into the incarnation of light itself, an elemental being." But all Po took from that explanation was that it didn't taste good. Light? What kind of flavor was that supposed to be? Within seconds, his serious expression returned as he gave a half-hearted comment. "Sounds kinda impressive." The Iron Cavalry warrior sighed. "More than impressive." Anyone could tell that Po had zero interest in the fruit's power. Po turned back to his brother. "So, you came all this way to ask for my help? If I agree, what's in it for me?" Wine Deity, ever the charmer, puffed up his chest and declared, "You will forever be my greatest big brother." His cheeks were still flushed pink as he said it. Po immediately dropped his dignified act and lunged at Wine Deity, grabbing him by the neck. "Don't give me that empty nonsense. If you win, I want half of the fruit." Po still thought the light fruit was just a regular fruit. Choking under Po's grip, Wine Deity didn't even have time to consider the deal before wheezing, Okay, I got it. I can't breathe." This news was spreading across the world. There was no way White Tiger, the king of gossip, wouldn't hear about it. Today, it was ferociously roaring in front of its tiger clan over and over again. "Everyone will die. Everyone will die." Luckily, down below, Xiaolan had found a megaphone from some random market and was translating. "Listen up, underlings." Her voice blended with a roaring, "Everyone will die," creating quite the commotion. "This competition is open to everyone. The top 100 will receive rewards." The tigers were in an uproar. "What, 100 people? That many?" Shadow Tiger immediately cut them off with a roar. "Boss said so. So it is." That absolute, unwavering trust, 10 out of 10, couldn't be more loyal. Up above, Xiaolan shouted decisively, "This time, you must show the might of the Tiger Clan. Show the prestige of the Tiger Clan. This is our chance to make the Tiger Clan famous across the entire Misty Mountain." One sentence from Xiaolan, one roar from White Tiger. Together, they sent the tiger spirits surging. After wrapping things up, she wiped her sweat and whispered, "Was that good enough, little White?" The tiger immediately grinned from ear to ear. While things were already buzzing on the surface, the ones underground quickly caught on to the situation. Flash and the ant colony were holding a strategic meeting. Since there was still time, Flash had already decided on a foolproof victory strategy right from the start. 3 months from now, you will enter the battle. Winning is the only option. Defeat is not allowed. Getting the light fruit is important, but the honor of our clan is even more so. Winning this competition will show everyone the true strength of the ant clan. Agreed. The selected warrior ants screeched in unison, their loud kek cries shaking the ground, proving their strength before their king. Among the 9 great beasts, apart from those who weren't strong enough yet, like Wine Deity, everyone was finding a way to participate. Those ranked above level 4, like Flash, couldn't enter, so they focused on training others. Each of them now had their own clans, and Ninetails was no exception. It wanted its kin to seize this glory. "Are you ready?" it asked Moon Fox, standing across from it. The Green Mound Fox clan would be represented by Moon Fox. No need for Ninetails to say anything. It was already dead set on winning. "This time, we will take first place. No question about it." Meanwhile, over at the Golden Monkey clan, spirits were soaring high. Though they didn't have the numbers like the other races, their whole one monkey, one staff, taking on the world attitude said it all. No backing down. That fruit is ours. Behind them, Honey Badger yawned lazily. Its laid-back nature wouldn't change just because of some fancy fruit. If there was a fight, it'd watch for fun. If not, well, nap time. By now, all the tribes had received the news. The mighty Polar Bear clan, proud as ever, had to get involved. As one of the strongest clans, we cannot let the light fruit fall into the hands of another race. Amidst all the blazing determination, 2 little outcasts from the world of steel were whispering to each other. "Our clan consists of, 2 people. Should we even join?" They were clearly infected by the fiery atmosphere of the entire planet, getting caught up in the hype, but in the end, they knew their place. This tournament is full of monsters. Forget it, man. We don't stand a chance. The light fruit, a fruit condensed from the purest essence of yuzu, held an immense amount of spiritual energy and power. This fruit had the ability to help both mutated beasts and humans at rank 3 evolve directly to rank 4. Naturally, became something highly coveted. News of it quickly spread across the human world. Half a month later, the light fruit was even being broadcasted on wide screens in human cities. The news anchor's voice rang out nonstop. Recently, there have been rumors of an ongoing competition in Misty Mountain with an astonishing prize, the elemental fruit. However, the truth behind this event remains a mystery. We will continue to monitor and report further updates on this matter. Even in Long Mansion, a far-off place in the human world, the news had reached them. The entire world was shaken by this revelation, and inside Long Mansion, things were no different. The training grounds of Long Mansion were vast, filled with flat-topped rocky mountains. Standing there was a small, lean old man, but what made him stand out was a peculiar tuft of hair wiggling atop his head. He called out to a muscular young man standing in the midst of a dusty haze below. "Long Air, how's your training going?" Just looking at the lower half of his body, one could tell this man was a martial artist through and through. His composed demeanor spoke for itself as he calmly replied, "Just finished training." The old man swiftly changed the topic. "Have you heard about the competition in Misty Mountain? You're undefeated among rank 3 fighters. Do you have the confidence to take first place?" Hearing this serious question, the young man simply scratched his head and chuckled. "What a shame. We're not from Misty Mountain. We can't participate." News about this competition had truly gone through a game of versions. By the time it reached here, it had turned into only those from Misty Mountain can participate. "You foolish kid." The old man, full of affection, smacked him right in the face with a loud pop. His previous calm demeanor vanished completely. "Just join them already. Problem solved," he scolded, pointing a finger at the young man and launching into a full lecture. "While we're standing here talking, who knows how many people are already flocking to Misty Mountain? Even signing a contract wouldn't be a big deal. Once you reach rank 4, whether you return or not, you can still protect the Long family for 100 years without worry." With every sentence, the single tuft of hair on his head twitched and shot up higher, as if the intensity of his words was making his scalp itch. Realizing this, he quickly switched back to a serious tone. "Only this way can you protect the people you want to protect." The weight of his words sank deep. Longer's face was filled with contemplation and seriousness. He didn't speak, but he understood his grandfather's meaning. A moment later, he knelt respectfully before him. "I understand." As the dust settled behind him, the ground revealed a pile of defeated mutant beasts. Teeth broken, jaws slack, lifeless bodies strewn about. Longer stood before them as if this was just another ordinary day, unfazed. He looked at his grandfather and stated plainly, "I also want to fight against strong opponents." "Good." The old man's eyes shone with determination, even fiercer than Longer's. Had this been 10 years ago, he probably would have packed up and set off the moment he heard the news. Far away, at a human observatory, excited voices filled the air. Because right now, the moon had practically turned into a second Misty Mountain with a forest covered the surface. Laurel Tree had just finished relaying the latest news. After observing for a while, it excitedly reported, "Master, as of this moment, over 2,000 participants have joined the competition. Besides those from Misty Mountain, hundreds of ranked..." The news anchor's voice rang out nonstop. Recently, there have been rumors of an ongoing competition in Misty Mountain with an astonishing prize, the elemental fruit. However, the truth behind this event remains a mystery. We will continue to monitor and report further updates on this matter. Even in Long Mansion, a far-off place in the human world, the news had reached them. The entire world was shaken by this revelation. Of course, Yuzu had already thought about the standout figures from Misty Mountain. He had a pretty good idea who would be participating. But what intrigued him the most was humanity. How high could they rank in this competition? Time flew by. Another month passed in the blink of an eye. Gradually, those who sought to dominate the martial world began to emerge, each aiming to carve their name as the ultimate champion. With that, the fighting spirit across the land burned hotter than ever. The peregrine falcon spread its wings and soared across the sky, scanning the situation below before reporting back to Laurel Tree. Even it was surprised to see so many unfamiliar faces among the participating legions. Down below, in the midst of a one-eyed King Kong and a three-eyed purple beast, stood a massive bear. Its fur was brown, but it radiated a golden aura, blazing like fire. Just one look, and it was clear this was a seasoned warrior. For the past month, a large number of exotic beasts had been gathering at the Misty Mountains. Among them, the bear, known as Blazing Claw Bear, quickly became a standout. Just hearing its name was enough to tell. It specialized in claw attacks, and its whole demeanor screamed aggression. As soon as the participants arrived, murmurs and exclamations filled the air. The Blazing Claw Bear, a bear evolved from the Kodiak brown bear. Its raw power was enough to make any opponent wary. A single moment of hesitation could lead to being slashed in half on the spot. Scanning the bear from head to tail, people suddenly noticed a small dark figure perched atop its head. A human? No, not just any human. This was a member of the three-eyed race. The crowd buzzed with excitement. Discussions about this mysterious tribe rivaled the talk about the Blazing Claw Bear. A person and a beast, standing together like that, sent chills down the spines of many. No one expected competitors of this caliber to join the tournament. A question quickly spread among the human participants. If even a monstrous creature like that has become his mount, do we even stand a chance? But before anyone could finish that thought, boom! A pure white bear paw slammed onto the ground, instantly drawing everyone's attention. What's this? The moment a bear appears, does it mean a fight is inevitable? This white-furred bear stood there, huffing and glaring as if someone had stolen its meal. And its target? The brown-furred Blazing Claw Bear on the other side. One white, one brown. Could they be about to fight? Maybe they evolved from the same species and wanted to determine dominance right here? The exotic beasts eagerly awaited a showdown, while the super beings looked on with visible concern. The thunder polar bear of the Misty Mountains. 3 raised scars ran across its right eye, giving it an even more fearsome appearance. Its back fur burned like blue flames as it marched forward, locking eyes with the Blazing Claw Bear. Their faces were now mere inches apart. A deep growl spread across the battlefield. Silence. Everyone held their breath. There was no question. This was going to be a fight. Though no one spoke, the same thought crossed everyone's minds. Come on, fight. The best outcome would be for both of them to get badly injured. That way, we might have a shot at making the top 100. Blazing Claw Bear let out a deafening roar, eyes widening, fangs bared, exuding sheer dominance. Across from it, Thunder Polar Bear opened its maw and roared back, its fury palpable. Though they were now 2 different species, their way of greeting each other remained the same. Nothing happened. The person riding on Blazing Claw Bear didn't make a move, leaving the audience restless. If these 2 bears fight, wouldn't he join in to gain the upper hand? We need to see how the Three-Eyed Clan battles. As the tension thickened, anticipation surged. And then, the 2 bears lunged at each other and clasped hands. Wait, what? Where were the fights? Why were they baring their teeth just moments ago, only to end up looking like 2 old guys shaking hands over a business deal? What kind of horror movie plot twist was this? The super beings who had been eagerly spectating felt utterly betrayed. But of course, exotic beasts wouldn't fight over nothing. If territory wasn't involved, they didn't even bother. And then, another colossal paw stepped forward, sending shockwaves through the ground. The super beings turned around. No need to guess. Just from the size of those legs alone, they knew exactly who had arrived. Shadow Tiger. It was as massive as a small mountain, exuding a quiet but menacing aura. Step aside, humans, it growled in a low voice. Even with its composed tone, just the sight of its fangs was enough to make people scramble to clear a path. The presence, the fur, it was overwhelming. But what exactly was this creature? All humans could do was blurt out, "A black tiger!" What an understatement. This was no ordinary black tiger. It was pure darkness itself. Then, under the bright blue sky, 2 silky white tails flicked gracefully. At the tips, a touch of cool blue shimmered in the light. From atop a nearby hill, the twin-tailed fox of Greenmound appeared, elegantly positioning itself for all to see. The crowd gasped. A white 2-tailed fox. That was all they could say. Seriously, couldn't they see the blue? Couldn't they feel the overwhelming spiritual energy radiating from it? How shallow. And then, the entire battlefield trembled. People, beasts, all turned their heads alarmed. What's happening, an earthquake? No, look behind you. Even without turning, the massive shadow looming over them made everything clear. The Titans had arrived. Their bodies towered like mountains, moving carefully to avoid crushing humans and smaller beasts underfoot. Their skin was dark as cement, with strange patches of red like strawberries on a cake. But no matter how careful they were, each step sent tremors through the battlefield, shaking all who stood below. Normally, this world could erupt into catastrophic wars, and the Titans wouldn't bother to show up. But now, here they were, standing right before everyone's eyes. A race that had only existed in myths had now appeared in full force. Long of the Long Mansion carried the hopes of his entire clan and his own as he arrived here. He hadn't even stepped into the qualifiers yet, but deep down, he was already whispering, "Grandfather, I'm sorry. I think I'm going to disappoint you." Standing there all chill on his own, he was suddenly interrupted by a big-chested human guy who showed up out of nowhere. "The Titan clan is here too. Looks like there's no hope left." Then, as if just noticing Longer, the guy turned to him and asked, "Kid, are you here to observe, or are you actually competing?" Didn't even wait for an answer before drawing his own conclusion. "Judging by your strength, you're just at supernatural rank 1. This place is way too dangerous for you." Well, yeah, this place did look dangerous, but admitting it was a whole different story. Longer wasn't planning to say anything, but the big guy suddenly crouched down like they were long-lost buddies. "How about this? Since you're still young, I'll give you some spirit stones. I can protect you well." Who asked for help? Who needed that? He came here carrying the honor of the Long family, and this dude was acting like some self-appointed babysitter. Longer's face darkened, his expression clearly spelling out, "You better watch yourself. But I think you'll die here before I do." Oh, so it was fine for him to throw shade, but when someone clapped back, he lost his cool? Veins popped on the guy's face as he instantly switched to threats. "You got a death wish, kid? You dare look down on me? Oh, you really want to prove it that badly?" That wasn't Longer talking. That was me. Because before Long Knee could even get a word out, the space around them suddenly dimmed. A distinct, colorful tear appeared in the air. Somewhere in the void, a voice rang out. "Everyone, hurry in. The sky is opening." The sound of cracking intensified, and right before everyone's eyes, a spatial rift fully revealed itself. It was time. A battle at the highest level was about to begin.